Jacob.
And I'm Anthony Molinaro, and here's your property market wrap on the results for the March 2026 month. We'll cover home prices, rents, and the factors shaping sentiment across metropolitan Melbourne and regional Victoria.
Let's get started. So March reinforced the increasingly uneven picture across Australian housing market, with national dwellings rising 0.7% over the month and 2.1% over the March quarter. But that strength was again driven by the smaller capitals and regional markets, with Melbourne slipping 0.2% in March and taking quarterly change down to 0.6%, while annual growth held at 3.4%. And the city's median dwelling value reached $828,000, with regional Victoria performing more firmly, with dwelling values rising 0.6% over the month, 1.8% over the quarter, and 8% annually, with the median dwelling value now around $630,000.
Now for Melbourne, the March results point to a market that is no longer moving in one broad direction. Cotality notes that Melbourne values have fallen 0.9% since the end of November, with the softer trend lining up with weaker auction clearance rates and an increase in the advertised supply. In practical terms, buyers are gaining more choice and more negotiating leverage, while sellers are facing a more competitive environment than they were this time last year.
Now, we've seen for several months now, more affordable segments are continuing to hold up better than higher price stock. Cotality attributes this to more serviceability constraints, pushing more buyers towards the lower end of the market, where competition remains a bit stronger. This is an important point for Victoria because it helps explain why a number of outer and middle ring Melbourne submarkets are still posting solid annual gains, even while broader metro results softened in March.
Now, even with Melbourne easing at the headline level, several metro SA3 markets have delivered strong annual dwelling growth. Now, Cotality's top 10 SA3 areas for metropolitan Melbourne by annual dwelling value growth at March 26 were Frankston, with a median value of just over $850,000, being an 11.3% growth. The suburb of Keilor, just over $1,070,000 with a 9.5% growth. Sundry came in third, just under $750,000 with a 9% growth. Greenbank, $730,000 with an 8.6% growth. Tullamarine Broadmeadows, $750,000 with a 7.5% growth. City of Casey had a 6.7% growth. Gardenia 6.6%. Kingston 6.4% growth. Dandenong at 6.3%. And rounding out the top 10 was Whittlesea with $780,000 being 6.2% growth.
Now, across regional Victoria, conditions remain steadier, with values lifting 0.6% in March and now 8% higher over the year. That pattern fits in the broader national pattern, where combined regional markets outpace the combined capitals over the month and the quarter. Lower price points, relatively better affordability, and more resilient owner-occupier demand continue to support regional performance, even as confidence weakens nationally.
Now, regional Victoria also continues to produce some of the state's strongest annual growth stories. The leading regional SA3s at March 2026 with the highest 12-month value growth for dwellings were Latrobe Valley with a median value of just over $500,000, a change of 15.3% of an increase. Mildura at $544,000, being a 14.8% growth. Ballarat at just over $630,000 with a 14.2% growth. The Grampians had a 14% growth. Wodonga had a $692,000 average, being a 13.2% growth. Maryborough at 13%. Bendigo at 12.2%. Wellington at 11.4%. Loddon at a 10.5% growth, and Burnell, which is the southern Grampians area, at a 10.4% growth.
Now on the rental side, pressure remains persistent, so Cotality shows the national rental index rose 0.7% in March, with rents up 5.7% annually, the fastest annual growth since October 2024. Now the report also notes that rental affordability is already stretched, with the median income household spending about 33% of pre-tax income on rent at current median market rates.
Now in Victoria, RARB's latest figures show median weekly rents across metropolitan Melbourne at $580 for houses and around $575 for units, while regional Victoria sits at $495 for houses and $400 for units. RARB also reports vacancy rates of 2.6% across metropolitan Melbourne and 2.2% across regional Victoria, showing some availability but still in a market where affordability remains under pressure.
Now looking more closely at where rents are moving fastest, Domain's latest rental reporting shows that a number of Melbourne suburbs recorded double-digit annual rent increases over 2025. So for houses in Princess Hill, their rent is up 18.3% to $1,000 a week, followed by Caulfield at 17.6%, Hawthorne East at 16.7%, and in the unit market, Moorabbin and Bellwood both posted rental growths of more than 18% over the year.
Now, what home sellers need to know right now? Sellers need to understand that the market has become more selective. Melbourne is no longer in a phase where broad-based momentum does their heavy lifting. Buyers have more stock to choose from, confidence has softened, and affordability constraints are limiting for how many purchases are being stretched. That means pricing discipline, presentation, and campaign strategy matter more than they did 6 to 9 months ago. Homes that are well positioned and realistically priced are still attracting competition, particularly in affordable and family-orientated corridors, but over-ambitious quoting or poor campaign execution is more likely to be exposed in this current environment.
Now, will conditions change this year? Conditions can shift throughout the rest of 2026, but the most likely change is not a sharp rebound or a major correction. It's more of an uneven and cautious market. So Cotality expects outcomes to remain mixed, with affordable segments likely to hold up better, while higher value markets they face more pressure from borrowing constraints and cost of living headwinds. Now, key watch points will be inflation, interest rates, listing volumes, and whether confidence stabilises. If supply continues to rise and sentiment stays soft, Melbourne may remain subdued. But if rates begin to ease later in the year, that can improve conditions and support demand, especially in value-led parts of the market. Should be good.
Hopefully. We'll see it in the coming months, no doubt. Now remember, the information provided is of a general nature. You should always seek independent legal, financial, or any other advice via your trusted advisor. Thank you so much for watching this month's market rate, and until next month, bye for now.